Brody's Cause on the outside. Final furlong of the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. Brody's Cause a final try. Brody's Cause and Corey Lannery a tremendous run. Brody's Cause at the 16th pole. Brody's Cause in front. Brody's Cause for Luis Saez to win the Toyota Bluegrass.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Nicole Russo. Welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm. Let's take a look at Wednesday's Spa Baby race. We're kicking off the new Empire 6 with race number 5, 6.5 furlongs on the main track. 2-year-old filly New York breds. And Nicole, it's an interesting race. You've got some first-time starters from some well-intentioned barns, a couple of interesting experienced runners. I think there's some quality in this field.
You know, I think there could be as well. It's 4 New York breds, and we see both some promising young New York sires and some Kentucky sires, including some of this year's outstanding freshmen represented. And man, kicking off the Empire 6, this might be a race that you want to spread a little bit in. I think there's, a promising experienced runner in here and a lot of first-time starters.
And our friends at Spendthrift Farm, they're going to be represented. The number 3, Bella Invasion, is by their young stallion, Normandy Invasion, a son of Tappet. Let's take this field in post-position order, beginning with one of the experienced names. That's the number 1, Funnypointofview, who caught a runaway favored winner in Time Limit for Michael Maker in her career debut on June the 23rd. This dam won several sprint races. The second dam was a multiple stakes winner. Funnypointofview was kind of grinding at the end of that debut, and to me that indicates she's really going to appreciate the extra furlong and a half on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so as well. Going from the 5 to the 6.5 furlongs, wouldn't want to see her going much longer than this. I think there's speed over speed in this pedigree. Her sire, DeFunnybone, was a very nice sprinting juvenile himself, and that was a very honest effort in her debut. And coming in fresh with a couple of decent steady works, I think Funnypointofview is probably well intentioned here.
I'm expecting some big things from the number 2 with Thea's Theme. This is a daughter of first crop stallion Bayern, who of course won the Haskell and the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's gotten off to an okay start with his first-time starters, 3 for 18. This is a $90,000 weanling that sold up for $145,000 as a yearling. And while the female family has some route ability, I don't actually mind that debuting at 6.5 furlongs for the very solid Engelhart barn.
Yeah, definitely. The Engelhart barn, good with these juveniles right now. And, Bayern, I think he's very interesting. Maybe not as flashy as some of the other freshmen in this class in terms of what they've done early, but he is connecting with his early horses. I think he's throwing a nice physical. Of course, he had speed that he could carry a distance.
I like the work tab here for Thea's Theme, and of course we urge everyone to check out Mike Welsh's Clocker Report, probably available already on drf.com. Just doing my own research, and I'll have to confirm with Mike's Clocker Report. It looks like that 5 furlong breeze on July the 13th might have gone in company with Hoffenheim, a solid, older, hard-hitting allowance horse for Jeremiah Engelhart. I think Thea's Theme's ready for the debut. The 3 is Bella Invasion by Spendthrift stallion Normandy Invasion, a $4,700 short yearling, $15,000 buyback as a yearling, $9,000 in May. The dam's been very productive. She's sold 5 winners from 5 runners. What do we expect from Normandy Invasion? Grade 1 placed routing on the dirt in his career.
Well, yeah, Normandy Invasion, he never connected with that grade 1 score. He was hampered throughout his career by some injuries and setbacks, but he was just a beautiful physical who was always so highly thought of. And, Spendthrift thought so highly of him in his first foals that after he began his stud career in New York, where he was quite popular, getting good numbers for the regional market, that they called him up, so to speak, to their main Kentucky farm where he's now standing. I think they really expect him to be a hit with some of his early crops and to justify that move to Kentucky. And, Tappet really starting to emerge as a sire of sires. He's got a couple of freshmen in this year's very deep class with stakes winners already, including Constitution atop the list with 2 graded winners. I think Normandy Invasion is really a sneaky good prospect in this year's deep freshman class.
Here's a formulator fact for the 3 Bella Invasion. And folks, if you like Bella Invasion, take this formulator fact with a grain of salt because she's 30-1 on the morning line and will be a big price at post time. Randy Prasad, past 5 years, 2-year-old first-time starters in dirt sprints, 0 for 28. The number 4 is Rewarded, by far the most experienced member in this field. She has already started 4 times. She raced, I believe, on opening day at Saratoga. It was a day where I thought the rail was very good and Rewarded was chasing a fast pace while outside. You can give her a mulligan for that race. The problem is 2 starts back, she was no match for Funnypointofview, and she hasn't shown a lot of stretch stamina. She has a nice little pedigree, but she has to improve.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're looking for something to like about her, she's by Central Banker, who was New York's breakout freshman sire last year, not only leading freshman in New York with some very speedy runners, but factoring on the national freshman list and the overall New York juvenile sire list, he's really a stellar young stallion. That being said, I think when a horse gets to this point in their career and they've had as many outs and as many, solid beats as she has, I think I'd prefer some of the first-time starters that maybe haven't started to figure out the racing game yet.
One of those first-time starters is the number 5, Saratoga Beauty, and there's a lot of things to like about this filly. She was a $19,000 buyback as a short yearling, a $15,000 yearling who sold all the way up for $97,000 in April after breezing a furlong in 10-1. And I like the mixture of stamina over speed in this family. You've got Macho Uno's stamina on top, the Dam one sprinting over a wet track. That could be key. We always expect a little bit of rain at Saratoga, and this is the family of Champion Gold Beauty.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned a little bit of rain at Saratoga. I think we've got some coming in, perhaps some scattered storms on Wednesday, so keep that in mind. Certainly, Holy Bull sire line can run well on a wet track. And yeah, there's some route ability in the family, but there's also a ton of juvenile ability. You look at it and you've got juvenile champion Macho Uno over a mare by juvenile champion Vindication, who's really turned into a sneaky good broodmare sire with the likes of Exaggerator and Wonder Godot on his resume in that regard.
We talked about Jeremiah Englehart's first-time starter in the 2, Thea's Theme. Engelhart also has first-time starter number 6, Critical Value. This is a daughter of Bodemeister, who connects with 9% of 2-year-old debut runners. The Dam won 6 dirt sprints, and she is a daughter of the multiple Grade 1 stakes-winning router Critical Eye. This is a really intriguing family, a solid work tab, and she probably is going to be offer at least a little bit more value than the other Engelhart.
Yeah, I think the Engelhart duo is dangerous here, but I think this one, might be some more value. Bodemeister a couple of years back came out very well with his first crop 2-year-olds. Forestry, another one who's turned into kind of a sneaky good broodmare sire with the likes of juvenile champion Nyquist and others in that regard.
The number 7 is Lady Kaza, the 5-2 morning line favorite, trained by Chad Brown, a $43,000 weanling, $49,000 buyback as a yearling, sold for $40,000 in April after breezing a furlong in 10-2. By congrats, 10% winners with 2-year-old debut runners. This Dam won sprinting on a wet track, something to consider if the track comes up wet. There is a lot of juvenile and precocity ability in the bottom of this family, and I like the fact that a couple of these workouts match up with Chad's figure of speech, who won her career debut on July the 31st with a 70 Beyer speed figure.
Yeah, and, again, we're going to encourage you to go back and look at those clocker reports by Mike Walsh and his team. But I like that there's a couple of sharp works and then kind of some maintenance moves here. It says to me that maybe they've got Lady Kaza sitting right where they want her. And congrats, of course, from that AP Indy sire line. But he can sire a good juvenile and a very quick juvenile filly with the likes of, Turbulent Descent and others on his resume.
Have to wonder if the number 8, A D'Oro, is going to want even a little bit more ground than this 6.5 furlongs. She is by Travers winner Alpha, who has gotten off to a slow start with his juvenile debut runners, only 1 for 21. This Dam one routing, she is by the stamina and classy Medaglia D'Oro. The dam's a half to crib note, multiple grade 1 placed as a 2-year-old. This dam's already thrown a stakes place router named Zyo D'Oro. You have to respect anything Brad Cox throws out on the track, but I wonder if this filly will benefit from some experience and maybe even a route distance down the road.
Well, I think so as well. Brad Cox, that barn is too hot to touch right now. Everything is just coming out flying, but that being said, Cox is a very good horseman, doesn't rush his 2-year-olds, and I have to think that perhaps this one is here for some experience, especially looking at that pedigree. You're crossing Alpha, who was at his best going longer, who is from that AP&D sire line, over a Medaglia D'Oro mare, and that to me says distance.
Conversely, the number 9, Graphite Dutchess, is by a Belmont Stakes winner, Malice, out of a Dam by a Belmont Stakes winner, Touch Gold. But there is a lot of speed on the bottom of this pedigree. The Dam was grade 3 placed as a 2-year-old. She is a half to a juvenile stakes place turf sprinter. And the second Dam was a juvenile stakes winning dirt sprinter. So I'm not going to be fooled just by looking at the sire and broodmare sire. There's some speed in this pedigree. And she worked in 10-1 before selling for $165,000 in April. She's a little bit of a price play perhaps in here.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting because, again, I look at that pedigree and on the surface I see stamina, but then you dig into all those names in the female family, as you mentioned, and there's a ton of speed and a ton of juvenile ability in there. More importantly, Malice himself was a winning juvenile, a nice juvenile. And, I think you're going to have to look at this one physically a little bit, maybe in the paddock, to see which way you think she pens. Does she look like, a blocky sprinter, speedy type, or does she look like more of a longer-legged, scopy, distance-loving horse? I think this is one where, a physical inspection of the horse could tell you quite a bit.
And also perhaps a watch the board special. Bruce Brown, an under-the-radar trainer, if Graphite Dutchess at 8-1 on the morning line takes some early tote action for with Louis Saez aboard, I think that's a very, very good sign. Okay, we kick off this new Empire 6 on Wednesday with our Spa Baby race, race number 5. Who do you like?
Well, as I said, I think if you're playing that Empire 6 or any other multi-race wager, this might be a spread race for you. Certainly Lady Kaza from the Chad Brown barn is going to take quite a bit of money, but I do like the second-time starter, Funnypointofview. I thought she ran very well on debut with a nice, honest effort. Could take a step forward here, breaking from the inside under Tyler Gaffleone, who I think can work out a trip from there. I also do think that the Engelhart duo is dangerous, and of those critical value, might offer a bit more value.
I like Thea's theme in here, the number 2. You mentioned that Bayern is doing very well. You think he has a lot of promise as a stallion. This filly ticks a lot of boxes for me from a pedigree standpoint, obviously from a connection standpoint. Engelhart is winning with these kind of horses. The workouts look very solid. Jose Ortiz takes the mount. She'll be my top pick in this race. I guess in the Empire 6, if I was going to spread, I would use Lady Kaza. It looks like those workouts, again, in company with the debut winner Chad had earlier this meet. Graphite Dutchess, the 9, with that speedy bottom half of the pedigree, is who I use for third. And the experienced runner, Funnypointofview, is very logical. So I'll go 2, 7, 9, and 1 in race number 5 at Saratoga on Wednesday. It's our Spa Baby race, and we are presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.